بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. It is the 2nd of June 2021, and in our series Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 250. These days we are discussing chapter 2, verse 86 of the Holy Quran, and this is the 6th broadcast in which we are doing that. And sorry for this bit of silence. I was just making sure that the radio station was broadcasting properly. The Lahore Ahmadiyya community, also known as Ahmadiyya Anjuman Lahore, was founded by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian. And he taught us that despite the fact that other people want to bring down another prophet after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, the Holy Prophet Muhammad was the last prophet because the Quran calls him Khatamun Nabiyyin, and he explained it by saying, La Nabi Abadi, there is no prophet after. And Hazrat Mirza Sahib himself claimed that he was the reformer, the Mujaddid of the 14th century, and his distinction was that the Holy Prophet had used for him the words Messiah and Mahdi. And although some people say that some of the prophetic revelation, like Ayah Rajam and Surah Walayat, etc., are not in the Holy Quran, have been missed out. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib, he taught that all the prophetic revelation that the Holy Prophet received is in the Holy Quran, that is with us. Nothing is missing. Similarly, some people say that parts of the Holy Quran have been cancelled or abrogated. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad taught that no part of the Quran, of the Holy Quran, can be abrogated. The whole of it is applicable as it was at the time of our beloved Prophet Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Similarly, some Muslims think that jihad means that you take the sword and force people to embrace Islam, and if they refuse, you cut their heads off. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib taught that this is incorrect. The Holy Prophet said when he was returning from a battle that they were returning from the minor jihad to the major jihad. And then explained that major jihad is a fight against our own negative desires and emotions. And it is only by holding these views and vigorously preaching and propagating them that Islam shall be successful. Let us go to the verse of the Holy Quran that we are looking at. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أولئك الذين اشتروا الحياة الدنيا بالآخرة فلا يخفف عنهم العذاب ولا هم ينصرون. These are they who buy the life of this world for the hereafter. So their chastisement shall not be lightened, nor shall they be helped. So yesterday we looked at the word azab and discussed that. The next word, the words walahum, I mean, they are sort of connecting words. Wa means and, la means no, etc. So we look at the word yun faru. So let us go to a dictionary and see what that tells us about the use of this word. First of all, the triliteral root is Noon Pod Ra, and that root occurs 158 times in the Holy Quran, but in 10 different forms which are derived from it, 10 different meanings. So we have most often it's used 59 times, it's used in the form Nasara, and then 35 times as Nasir, and 22 times as Nasr, and 15 times as Nasra, Nij, and 11 times as Nasir, and then fewer times. For example, in chapter, let's see, yes, this one, Anta Maulana Fansurna Alal Qawmil Kafirin. So this is chapter 2, verse 286. Help us against our detractors. And then again, chapter 3, verse 111. They will be helped. So, but it's also used in the sense, help in the sense of victory. وَثَبَّتْ أَقْدَامَنَا وَانْصُرْنَا عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ. Make us prevail, give us victory, help us overcome. If you're going to try and understand why it says, give us victory, help us overcome those people. So that's I think most often it's used there. Qala Rabbin Thurni Bima Kazabu. So chapter 23, verse 26, help me. They will help you and be helping. So but it's also used to indicate that you should help each other. Ma lakum la tanafaw. It's also used as defend yourself, because defending yourself is like self-help. You are helping yourself when you're defending yourself. So, wala walama nin tafarabaga. Chapter 42, verse 41, he defends himself. And then to seek help, and of course, the noun help. Because you realize that, it can both be verb, help is being done, given, or noun, help itself. So, according to dictionaries, for example, Mufradat, Al-Fazul Quran, let's see what that says. And in that we have An-Nasru Wan-Nasratu. It means to help someone. Nasrum minallahi wa fathun qareeb. Chapter 61, verse 13. God will help, Allah will help, and victory is close at hand. Soon you will be victorious. Iza jaa nasrullahi, and God's help came. This is chapter 110, the first verse of chapter 110. Most people know this because it's a short chapter that they learn by heart, so that if they need to lead prayers or something unexpectedly, they can recite it. It's something that is very pertinent to our situation. Yansurukumullahu fala ghaliba lakum. Chapter 4, verse 60. If God is your helper, then nothing can overcome you. And that is worth remembering. That is also, in some ways, a cure for depression. Because people become depressed because they become despondent, they lose hope, there is no one who is going to help them, support them, and so on. But here it says, however difficult the situation, if Allah is helping, then no one can harm. And it's worth remembering. You have to have faith in that. Because sometimes there are difficulties that make you lose hope. You look all around you and you think to yourself, what's the point? There is no help. But you don't know in what form God is going to send you help. And a great example of this are the members of our center in Pakistan. They're being subjected to all manner of difficulty and torture. But they're still loyal and faithful to this cause. You see, it happens in this country and it happens in many countries. And someone says, oh, he's an Ahmadi, don't, say Assalamu alaikum to him. Don't. No skin off my nose. I don't care. There are people we've known for a long time who, when they come and visit us, won't eat or drink from our home because we are Ahmadis. So what? Do I really care? How does that affect me? Apart from being a bit irritating, you just shrug your shoulders and say, well, okay, fair enough. But then, you see, in Pakistan, from the moment one of our members opens his eyes in the morning, he's going to face difficulty with every little thing, not just some things. Not just he's a Lahori Yamdi, don't say Assalamu alaikum. More serious. Your kids need admission in a school. That's a battle and a fight anyway. But if you're an Ahmadi, it's a much harder fight. And we cannot even imagine the difficulties that those parents feel. And it's not as if once the child has admission in the college or the school or university or whatever that it ends, okay, we've got them in. There's constant bullying and torture even, mental torture. People do their best to get under their skin, to annoy them, to make them angry so that they say something and then they can rush off to the police screaming, blasphemy or whatever it is. You have child or children and you need matches for them. And you face another difficulty. You need a job. You face another difficulty. Things which should be routine and should be done as a matter of course become a horrendous battle. You have to fight for every little thing. And what amazes me is the courage of these people. That day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, they face these calamities, these difficulties, these trials, this persecution, this torture, this bullying. And they're still loyal to the Lahore Ahmadiyya community. And that can only be if in the heart of your hearts, this faith is infused, this unshakable faith is infused. Like our motto says, Inna Allaha ma'ana. Allah is with us. Just like when the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala were hiding in the cave, and the Quraysh who were tracking them got to the mouth of the cave. Hazrat Abu Bakr whispered in the Holy Prophet's ear, "We are only two. Who will save us now?" And the Holy Prophet's response was, "We are three. Inna Allaha ma'ana. Allah is with us." Even in that hopeless situation, our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had complete faith in God's help and God's support. It is only when you have that you can face all these things. Without that, you cannot. You will give up. You will find some excuse. You'll find some excuse. Say, oh, okay, in my heart I'm an Ahmadi, but outwardly and whatever else. And this other verse of the Holy Quran also applies to our friends, brothers and sisters in Pakistan. وَمَا لَهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ مِنْ وَلِيٍّ وَلَا نَصِيرٍ. Chapter 9, verse 74. And on the earth, they will not have any friends or any helpers. And these brothers and sisters in Pakistan, that applies to them. Do you think if someone murders their husband or wife or brother or sister or whoever, and they go to the police will help them? No. But who will help them? In chapter 4, verse 45 tells us, وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ وَلِيًّا وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ نَصِيرًا. God is enough as a helper and a protector. And again, chapter 2, verse 107 tells us, وَمَا لَكُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ مِن وَلِيٍّ وَلَا نَصِيرٍ. You don't have any helper or friend or defender except for God. And this is what we see. And this is what we see. That despite everything, these people are standing fast. And they can only stand fast if they can feel God's help. If they can feel God helping them. If they couldn't, then they wouldn't be so steadfast. But there are two conditions of God's help. And we should be constantly asking ourselves whether we are fulfilling those conditions so that He helps us. In tanfarullaha yansurkum. Chapter 47, verse 7. If you become God's helpers, then He will help you. Not without that. Kunu anfarullah. Chapter 61, verse 40. Become God's helpers. So what that means is, whatever your situation, whatever your difficulties, whatever your limitations, you should continue to do God's work, which is to strengthen this organization so that it may present the true picture of Islam to the world. How can people, and I have this many times with, for example, newspapers in the United States, when people write letters and they say, when Muslims trot out all these verses of the Holy Quran about being friendly with non-Muslims, and having good relations with them, and non-Muslims too will get rewarded for the good that they do. Don't believe them, because Muslims have this theory of abrogation, and these verses are abrogated. They're no longer applicable if they ever were. How will you counter that? There are many links to American newspapers. Only a Lahori MD can answer that. And that is helping a lot. There is no theory of abrogation. There is no abrogation. And this is what I say at the beginning every time, because it's so important. This is used again and again in the West. That all these things are abrogated. All the verses about being friendly and so on. So don't get trapped. If you're going to live in a fool's paradise, where you don't listen to any media outside your own country or your own society, and then say, well, no, this doesn't happen, carry on. And there's another thing that we should do. Malakum la tanaharu. Chapter 37, verse 25. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why don't you help each other? Remember the story of migration? Muslims arrived destitute in Medina. And what did the Holy Prophet ﷺ do? He said to one Muhajir, one refugee, you are this Medinite's brother. These people came to be known as Ansar, helpers from this world. So he paid them off. Well, obviously there was no government help. There was, no benefit they could claim. They might have had a little money with which they escaped, but the rest of the possessions were left behind, because it was all done in a secret. They couldn't let the news out. Otherwise, the Quraysh would have just exterminated them. And what did the Ansar do? They took their Muhajir brother, their refugee brother, home and said, here we are brothers. Half of what I have is yours. Literally. They said, I've got 2 beds, one is yours. I've got 2 horses, one is yours. I've got 2 swords, one is yours. But it's a testament to the honor of the Muhajireen, Rasulullah Ta'ala, that they said, we're very grateful and thank you, but show us the way to the market. We'll try and find some work, do some trade, and earn a bit of living. With the prayer that Allah keeps everyone, but particularly our members in Pakistan, under His protection, under His shadow. And prevent harm from touching them. and saluting our brothers and sisters in Pakistan for their magnificent steadfastness, loyalty, and sacrifice, I take my leave of you. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, goodbye.